So today I want to talk about clarity. So as a younger artist, I actually struggled a lot with clarity in my artwork. This is a problem because a lot of the time with my compositions, I would show them to people and they might be interested in certain ideas that I had for the composition, but they never felt the power from the composition. They never were significantly affected by the composition. And I always wondered why I had this problem. That is until I discovered this concept in artwork that I didn't understand at first, but it was the idea of clarity. Clarity is this thing that I have now defined as the internal logic or internal harmony, structure, whatever you want to say, of the piece of artwork that you're creating. Clarity is when in a movie everything fits together and makes sense. Clarity is also when your target audience is able to digest and understand the piece of artwork that is placed before them. The question becomes then, how can we improve our clarity as artists? And one answer that I have come up with, which is kind of interesting, is the idea of our input equals our output. As artists, what we consume influences what we create. Also, not only what we consume, but how we consume influences how we create. And so if we want to improve our clarity as artists, maybe we can improve the clarity by which we consume art. How can this be done? Well, an idea that I learned early on as a musician was very useful for me. It's called active listening. And active listening I didn't know at the time, but it's related to attention and the way that you sort of spend your attention on the piece of artwork that you're listening to. In the case of active listening, it's the difference between sort of passively letting the music just wash over you and actively using your ear to sort of hear the different levels of the music. So you can imagine focusing in on the voice, the details of the voice in a specific song, and all the little nuances and timbre shifts that a good vocalist can do, or shifting your attention to the bass or to the drum. You can also shift your attention sort of narrowly onto very narrow slices of the audio, or you can shift it all the way out and sort of try to see how what you're listening to is related to what you're remembering about the piece in the past. And so in this fashion, this technique of active listening, you actually improve the clarity by which you consume the artwork, the input of the artwork, and that improved input necessarily leads to an improved output as well in your own artwork. There's a great quote by Julia Cameron. She wrote a book on creativity that I really like. It's called The Artist's Way. And in the book, she says, "One of the great misconceptions about the artistic life is that it entails great swaths of aimlessness. The truth is that a creative life involves great swaths of attention. Attention is a way to connect and survive." What she's saying here is pretty clear. The misconception is that artists are aimless, that they sort of just wander. And that isn't the case at all. I think great artists, and she seems to agree with me here, are the ones that can really pay attention. And this attention allows them to connect with other art, also connect with their experience as an artist, their lived experience, and be able to infuse that connection, that deep connection that they have with their lived experience and with the artwork that they love into their creative output. What I would encourage you to try as an artist, if you want to increase the clarity of your artwork, is pay attention. Try to really hone in on whatever art that you're consuming every day. Do this in a meditative fashion where you shift your attention along the piece as it's being manifest to you. Shift your attention along that and play with it, I would say. Play with your attention and see if you can remain intensely focused and intensely interested in the piece as it sort of delineates itself into your brain. And the reward for this is that if you do this daily, this sort of attentive exercise, and you increase the clarity by which you consume, understand, and imbibe, your output as an artist is going to be significantly increased as well, because those sort of patterns will be written onto your artistic soul, and you'll be able, that improved clarity will show as you explicate that.